Hi there everyone, welcome back to Dandelion Delphi. This is just a quick explanation of how to display in your RichEdit. So we know that we display one row at a time. So to go back to my previous lesson, you will have to start with the for loop for the row. Here at the top, I'm just displaying the headings of the RichEdit, and I'm starting with the label name and then the columns 1 to 4, and I'm adding to that the columns 1, 2, and 3, and 4 to display term before each number. Here I'm building a string, and after this loop I'm just displaying the string. So I said we'll start with the for loop for the row, and on the inside of this for loop I'm initializing my string here to contain the name of the person for that row, as well as a #9 at the end to create the tab for the neat columns. Then I'm adding each person's mark by using my for loop for the columns, and I'm building my string here, adding each mark as a string to its display with the #9 at the end. And just before I loop to the second learner, I am displaying this string in my RichEdit. This is now your time to practice in the button RichEdit display. Try and see if you can do this question. There's more output that I'll show you below. Here is the rest of the output for the RichEdit. Press pause, I'll show you the memo soon. Just before we move on to the memo, I just want to let you take note of this. If the screenshot in an exam shows you the output at the top of a RichEdit, it's what I call a hidden question. There is a dot clear to clear the RichEdit before you display this output. Here is the memo for the RichEdit display button. First, I cleared the RichEdit, and then I displayed my label here at the top. And remember, in the previous activity, we declared RAVE as a global variable, and that was calculated in that button. And here I'm displaying in my RichEdit, so I want to use my for loop for the row first, setting up every new row with its own name and adding a #9. I'm also determining the lowest mark per learner. That value I'm going to store in iLow per learner. Then I loop through my learners' marks, and I'm comparing their marks against the average. If their mark was below the average, I add this mark to my string that I'm building with a #9 at the end. I'm also calculating to see what is the lowest mark of this learner and storing that in iLow. Now, outside of my for loop for the column, I'm now storing this lowest value in the 5th column of my array. Right at the beginning, we declared our array to have 5 columns. So now in the 5th column will be their lowest mark. And then the question also said to me that I should display a message to say there's no mark below the average if this learner did not have a mark below the average. So what I'm doing in this if statement is I'm checking that this S display didn't change since I initialized it up there. So if it still holds just the name and a #9, it means they don't have a mark below the average, and I'm displaying this message here. Else I will display the string S display that I've built with the marks below the average. This is now the end of my for loop, and you would also see I've added an empty line there between the output at the top and then the next set of labels for my next set of columns. And in here I'm displaying each learner and their lowest mark. So I don't need nested loops. I'm just going to loop through my one-dimensional array, display each person's name, and display the mark stored in the 5th column of the two-dimensional array, which will now hold their lowest mark. I was then asked to enable this button, and then I need to increment my counter for the column, because now after this code ran, I do have values in my 5th column of my array because I've added the lowest mark in that column. Grade 12s, this was a short lesson, but I hope this helped you, and I'll see you soon.